Hello and welcome, everyone. You are here today listening to the Epic Income Leap podcast. Remember, I'm Laura Wright, and this show is for high achieving women who are great at relationships, but maybe a little frustrated with their consistency in sales. What we're going to talk about today is how to create predictable revenue without hustle, pressure, or turning your relationships into transactions. And what you get to hear is a real conversation about business growth, decision making, offers, leadership, and some of those little invisible gaps between I'm doing everything right and my income is where I really want it to be. This is not about scripts. It's not about funnels. It's about discernment, knowing who to talk to, when to lean in, how to turn the right conversation into the right opportunity. And what's amazing is I'm actually here today with Jennie Wright and I'm Laura Wright, and we get to have the most right conversation that can possibly be. But with that, you know how I like to do. I always say, instead of me reading a stale thing, I like to let my people introduce themselves. So, Jennie, tell us where you are, who you serve, all the good things. Tell the whole audience who you be.
Well, I am Jennie Wright. We are
For
not
now.
related for now. I'm not sure if we're related, but probably not, but you never know. In some way, shape, or form down the line. I'm in Toronto, Canada, and I serve entrepreneurs as well as larger business owners, people who are pretty established that want to grow their list, grow their business. And I work as a fractional CMO, COO, and head of marketing within multiple people's companies.
I love that. This is like one of my favorite things because, Jennie, you are somebody who knows all the moving parts. Like you actually get how to run the business. You understand how teamwork, marketing, messaging, operations, you understand all the pieces and you get to plug in to amazing companies. Let me take you back in time. Let's take us all back in time. What was it that had you feel like I gotta go get into business and I want to do this? Because I think sometimes we have the external push, and we've had lots of stories of, oh, my the bottom fell out from underneath me, either in corporate or in business, and so I jumped and changed. Sometimes we have burning passions and we want to go do stuff, but what was it that had you take the leap into your business? And it may be the first one, and it may be a new one.
That's an excellent question. I am somebody who had the bottom fall out beneath me in the beginning, but then I made a leap probably about 3 years ago, and this was the the epic point of change in the business. So I was working. God, what was I back then? I mean, I started as a VA when I left corporate. When I was in corporate, I was in investor relations and communications, right? So I was a jack of all trades. And then when I started the online piece, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I became a virtual assistant, which became an OBM, which became a coach, which became I don't know what. And it was the I don't know what that was very unfulfilling. I still felt I was the doer and not
Mm.
the strategist. And I always love the strategy. Whenever I speak to somebody, I find all of the opportunities in their businesses. It is glaring at me. And I love helping people fill those gaps. So that lent itself more to fractional CMO or COO work and making that jump of very comfortable clients
Mm.
and income, building and producing online summits, because I've produced about 450, 480 of those, and then moving into being more of a CMO. That was a big shift. And it took me about 6 months to completely feel comfortable. But wow, I mean,
Mm.
it is night and day. I'm no longer, I still am the doer in some cases because I just love that transactional work with some people. But now I have a team. I've grown my team from one person to 7 or 8 at this point.
Mm.
As we're speaking, I'm actually doing interviews for 2 more positions. So we'll be at 9, possibly 10. And then so much has changed. And now my business is specifically being deeply into somebody else's business, knowing all the things and being able to support them with their goals and where they're trying to go in a very strategic and empathetic, methodical way.
I love that. That's really like the biggest difference between being the doer and the strategist. And that can be
Yeah.
a very like uncomfortable shift because there's a lot of, I'm just going to put words into your mouth, but for me, like I watch other people have safety in the doing. Like people will always need you, but it's also exhausting. Like there's
Mhm.
always work to be done and to be able to actually tap into your true brilliance. And I love hearing that you didn't just step from one service provider position to another. It sounds like you've built and developed an entire team and company. And this sounds very, dare I say, like strong and structured. It sounds very delightful.
It is, and it took me from to make to make the not the same because I was making less, but in order to make less money 3 or 4 years ago, I had to have about 14 to 20 clients in a year.
Hmm.
Now I'm making a lot more than that, and I have 5 clients.
Yes.
So I get
Oh.
to go deeper. I get to connect. I get to spend more time, and it's less at that upper, like it's less at that sort of surface level, and I get to
Mhm.
go a lot more into what's going on, and I get to have actually affect a lot more change,
Mm.
which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
influence.
Yeah,
That's everything.
100%.
I think whenever someone's in a company, either as an expert or doer, or strategist, any of the piece, if you feel ineffectual or like you're not actually having influence, it can be very, it's like running on a treadmill or in a
Hmm.
hamster wheel. And I know for you, purpose is so important, which kind of makes me think about the next thing I really wanted to ask you, which is like, how did you sustain yourself? Because kind of it can be scary when you take that leap. And what I heard first and foremost was you took about 6 months to like get into the transition. You've been in it for about 3 years. But when you like look back at that time, what was it that you said to yourself, either mindset wise or with support, that helped you sustain being willing to get through the uncomfortable part of the change?
It was a lot of conversations with people I trusted. So
Mm,
the first realization that I wasn't happy was a friend of mine, person by the name of Sean Q. He's
I
really
know Sean as well.
a
Delightful person.
delightful. Love Sean. Sean and I had worked on a previous project. I'd actually produced one of his summits, and we were just having a catch up conversation. And he's like, "You you kind of sound fractured. You sound like
Mm,
your heart's in one place and your brain's in the other." And it doesn't really seem to be matching. What's going on with that? And he was just asking probing questions. And we just ended up having like an hour long conversation. And he's like, "Have you ever thought of?" And he's like, "Working with less people, but doing this." And I'm like, "What would that look like?" He's like, "It could be fractional CMO, could be anything." And I'm like, "Okay, we need to talk. Like, what would that look like, Sean?" And so I just really had conversations. So he was one of the first. Then I spoke to my partner, my fiance, and we had conversations, and that was really really helpful because he's like, "Well, do you feel like you could be a CMO? I'm not sure if you're there. Do you have the skill set? Could you get the skill set that would make you feel comfortable?" And he's a real pragmatist, so that's really helpful. And just other conversations with really trusted humans in my space
mhm,
that will tell me the truth, and that really
mhm.
helped me during that transition time, and even kept me honest because you know how when there's some people are like, "Yeah, I stayed at a Holiday Inn, I can do anything." Like, remember those commercials?
I do. I do.
Right? And I find that some people start new areas of their business without fully knowing what they're getting into or without
Mm.
all the experience. And I didn't want to go to somebody's business and go, "Hey, hey, Laura, would you like to hire me as your CMO? I have zero CMO experience, but I'm willing to try in your business." Like, I really needed to make sure my skill set was there. So I actually tested it out on my own business. I realized I could be a better leader in my own space, in my own business, and I could affect more change that way and make sure that I could test things out. And also, I tested a few things out with Sean, which was great. And then I got my first client, and that was my first CMO gig a couple of years ago now. Worked out amazing. It was really, really an eye opener. And then I was like, okay, I got to double down on these skills, right? Because it was moving. I was getting this blend of entrepreneurial clients and then corporate clients.
Mm.
So I had one corporate CMO client. I had one, entrepreneurial client. I was still doing summits. So
Wow,
I
that's
was
a
like,
lot.
yeah, but I do like that's me, um, in any given day. But I found it very eye-opening experience, very humbling experience to realize I can do this. I just don't have all the skills yet. And so I invested a lot of time and energy into learning, reading, and educating myself so that I could be better for the next client as well.
I love that. Okay, so Jenny just told you all exactly the pathway to change your life and to have everything you want. So I'm going to break it down and pull the pieces out. So, one, she made the decision to change, and it came through a trusted, I would say, the word support or advisor, because sometimes the people who are we trust around us don't always have the category of mentor or anybody else, but also you were willing to listen to hear that you were maybe not as satisfied in what you wanted. And then I love that you said that you assessed the situation and decided what skills you might want to include, incorporate, or strengthen, because that's a huge thing. I am not a fan of fake it till you make it. I was
Me neither.
interviewed and I had a really cute catchphrase and I can't remember it anymore, but it was like, I said, instead of fake it till you make it, do it till it's true. And that's what I heard that you went and did, is that you went and decided, if I do want to change things, let's not just wing it. Let's define it. Let's get some trusted support. I love that you were able to go to, like, I know Sean Q too. He's like a future forward thinker, big idea guy. And I don't know your partner, but I think he's a, let's look at it from all angles and take it apart and put it back together, pragmatist. And it's
Yep.
really good to have both of those people around when you're thinking about doing something new. I find that when you're doing something new and you only go to the pragmatist, then you're like, hmm. And then if you go to the big thinker, you don't find the holes. So I love that you were able to do that, to have the support. What do you think is actually really brought into your life to make that kind of change? Because I am a huge advocate. You know me just a little bit, but like, I'm an advocate for high ticket, high leverage. Like, if you can have one, two, or three
Mhm.
clients and make the same as 20 and have more space and time and energy, I'm a huge advocate for that. But when you look at your life now, what did it bring to you? Not just revenue, but fulfillment. Tell me about what life looks like now.
It is a massive shift. It's not a full 180, but it is a massive shift. It has it has changed the
Hold
conversation.
on just 1 second. I can't hear you and I can't tell if it's me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's so weird. I think it might be my headset. It's like gurgly. Hold on, I'm gonna take it out for a second.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
So
Anything?
weird. For some reason, can you hear me okay?
I hear you clearly,
I can't
but you're
hear
not
you at
hearing me
all.
clearly.
Okay, I think I know what just happened. Hold on. Sorry about this. Hold on. I think my headset tried
Is
to
dead?
connect. Yeah, no, it was. For some reason, my microphone tried to be the speaker, and it's all good now. I can hear you
Okay.
much better. Yeah, no, it was just one of those things where it was starting to go. I'm like,
Oh
I couldn't tell
no.
if it was on the recording or if it was just on me. But sorry. To begin again, please tell us all the things. What did it mean for you in life?
It was a massive shift. So it changed pretty much everything within the business, within the way I was looking at. I mean, revenue aside, we don't even have to go that way, but it allowed more time for me to be a critical thinker. And
Mm,
so when you're working with many clients, you don't get to be as deeply invested in what's going on. It's very superficial. And it's also very, for me, what I was doing with producing summits, because I was producing like, 10 to 20 summits a year and other client work, but it was very transactional in the way that, great, we're going to produce your summit when the summit's over. Best of luck to you, unless they became a retainer client, which quite a few did, but still. So it was very transactional in that way. This way, I'm working with less clients, but again, get to go deeper, get to do more things, get to be very, um, I guess the words are failing me, of course. Um, but I get to connect I just get to connect everything more deeply and I
mm.
get to be more
You
in
know what it
tune.
is? Not to plug this in for you,
Please
but
do.
what I keep thinking about when you're talking is I was speaking with one of my clients and she and I have worked together for years and we sat down and I was like, I want to have a different conversation. I don't want to ask what you want this month or even this year. What do you want if we were planning for the next 10 years?
Mm,
That I think is what you're starting to access. You didn't want transactional get in, get out, get an outcome. I think what you're talking about is that your business finally gave you a place to have a deep relationship with the person you were working with, but also the ability to see the long look. And that is like a different type of accomplishment or a different type of purpose when you can be a part of something that is causing lasting change. Not to put
Mhm.
words in your mouth, but that's kind of what it sounded like.
No, you reached in and grabbed the right stuff. So thank you for finding the words. Occasionally, I don't have the words sometimes, which is really frustrating. But the other thing that I would say that if you haven't made this leap of kind of going from, many clients to a few clients, being able to have that, that deeper impact is do it because
Mm.
it is completely life-changing our entire lives. And I do work with my partner, my fiance. We do work together as well. We've worked together for a very long time. And he's my person that I enjoy working with every single day, but it has had a deep impact there as well, right? So
Mm.
the conversations together about business aren't so frustrating. I'm not as upset. I'm not as frazzled or stressed. I'm not as questioning of my own and worried about my own confidence sometimes because
Mm.
sometimes when you work with people, things come up and you're like, is that a me thing?
Yeah.
My confidence is increased. My ability to understand and be able to like hold more space has grown by volumes. So there's a lot that's changed that I didn't think would. If I could go back to and I could like chat with Jenny from like, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, do the change, please. Like do it now.
Run.
Run forward and do it. And, if I can be a little bit on the material side, it has changed our lives, right? So it has allowed us to take some trips. It has allowed us to, we were able to upgrade our vehicle, which, we hadn't been able to do in 11 years. We're able to live in a place that makes us feel like home and cozy. I'm not a big materialistic person, but I do like creature comforts, and it's allowed for things like that, and it's allowed us to plan for the future. And at the time that we're recording this, plan a wedding, which is a big deal, and I'm really excited. And to go and have the wedding exactly in the place I wanted to have it. So really exciting things that could not have been possible 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. So this is everything. I want you to really hear like when you take the leap, there is the reward side. But I think what's more important is I just heard peace. And I
Mm.
remember, I'm trying to remember how far back in time it was, but I remember talking with you about somebody's summit. And I could feel the like harried so many moving parts to it. And again, super professional, you know what you're doing, you're awesome. That's not what it is. But when you have those conversations with people where you're like,
Mhm.
how are you? And they're like, fine. And you're like, oh God, something's wrong. But nobody says that.
Yeah.
I feel some peace from you. And
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about, and I know this is a big mission on my side, and I think you share it too, is that when really amazing women have access to more resources, you
Mhm.
create better and more things in this world. And I love hearing this is, planning a marriage and a wedding, like not just one or the other. Like getting married is one thing, having the wedding, you get to have both. The upgrades in your life, I bet you give great service to your clients. Like I just see all the way around as you stepped off the hamster wheel of hurried, gotta make it happen. And you keep saying a word that I was gonna say love, but I mean detest because you'll get where I'm going. Transactional.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
all of the client experience, while you are a kind, empathetic, caring person who gives and you have relationship with your clients, there's still transaction. Here's my curiosity. What do you think is the role that relationships play in your business? And I don't mean romantic actually, because you do have a romantic relationship inside your business, but I really mean just how does the concept and where do relationships fit inside of everything you do in business?
They're paramount,
Mhm.
absolutely paramount. Relationships are the core. Uh, I'm not a, I don't love to like, actually, I'm really good at sales, but I don't sell,
Mhm.
right? And I don't sell by creating relationships. I want to create that connection and that, like just, I'll get into your DMs. Laura, how's it been? Like, I haven't talked to you in so long, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And then if there's an alignment in some way, you might think of me when it comes to a potential client. Or when it comes to taking care of the clients, having those deeper relationships is important. Knowing people. One of my clients just went through a terrible episode with their daughter who was hospitalized for quite a while. It really impacted the things that we were doing for the business. There is a standing relationship. Like I've met this client in person. We've had dinner together, etc. And just being able to say, look, like I got your back. Don't worry. Everything will be taken care of. Everything that's not important is shelved. We're still circulating in the back end. We're still doing your social. We're still doing everything. And when it feels good for you, step back in. But in the meantime, I know that person's goals, desires. I know how they fill their cup in business. I know that what they can take and what they can't take on right now. And so I was able to just keep the business moving forward for them. And that is completely based on the fact that there's a standing relationship and there's trust.
That's it. That's everything. I just love what you're saying is because you have so much more opportunity when you can go deeper in this relationship. You function, I'm going to say more like a partner
Mm-hmm.
than somebody inside of a business, like an operator. You function like a partner because of relationships. What I also love and I adore about you is that you're somebody I can count on. And it's because we have a relationship that I feel if I send somebody to you as a client, number one, you'll turn them away if there's not a fit, which is very rare. You will take them on and support them. But what I also love, what you said, and I know we share this, is I don't need to get something from you. The relationship piece is about how do we stay in community and connection. And I know you function from that. And that's what strengthens business. Okay, here's the big question because we've been talking about the leaps, the ways, the support, the pieces. What's your next leap? Like what comes next? Because I always find it's fun that a lot of times we're in these zones of arrival, like we've done something. Sometimes we're in spaces of stability. Sometimes we're in spaces of growth. And I always ask the question, like, what's your epic leap? And I like to define this. One of my clients uses the word bold. And
Mm-hmm.
every time she talks about bold, she's like, just remember, bold for one person is climbing up Mount Everest. Bold for another person is wearing a red shirt for the first time. So don't ever judge. When I say, what's your next epic leap? Like it can be stopping something, it can be changing something, it can be growing. So I'll stop defining what's next for you.
The next thing, one of the epic things that I want to do this year, on top of the fact that we have to move, we're getting married. And I think I'm traveling 4 times this year for a
Just a
week
little.
at a time, just so a few things happening. Is I am, my next leap is I'm rebranding my podcast. So I went on hiatus back in, I think, late September of 2025. And that's because I wanted to completely shift the way I was producing the podcast, the stories that I wanted to tell. And so the podcast is completely changing. And then in support, or part of that is I'm going to be writing a book. And
Yay!
this is the first time I've
Oh,
publicly said it.
okay. Breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. I
So
have to
the
know more. Tell us all the like little, or does it have a germination in it? What's the idea? What's the thought if you feel like you want to
yeah,
share more?
the so the podcast was called Acquire, and it was about lead generation and building your business in that way. But what I want to switch it to is the stories that created us, right? So the stories that built and acquired our businesses and built us as entrepreneurs, as women, as doers, and what it took to get from there to here. Because I know that my story can be viewed as epic in a way, right? So when I went from like corporate to making $4.44 an hour as a VA to, the next thing and the next thing and the next thing to get me to where I am right now. And all of those incremental changes were like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps
Mhm.
forward, fall off a cliff, and then get
Yes.
back up again, right? As normal people, that just kind of happens. And I find with entrepreneurs, it happens quite a bit. There are stories there that I want to tell. And then there's stories of my own that I want to share. And so I want the podcast to reflect that. And then I want to write the book based on stories that I'm hearing that will give people hope and inspiration that they'll be able to make those incremental changes to create the business or the thing that they want. So yeah,
That's everything. Just a little project. I freaking love that.
little.
And I want everyone to hear this because what happened was you went from being in scramble doer to give, because that is VA and especially a summit. Holy crap. Ladies, gents, if you have ever done a summit, even participated in one, 7,500 moving parts, I think, maybe something like that. It feels like it. If it's not, there is a lot to it. And you transitioned your business to have more space and purpose, freedom, connection, and growth. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form surprised that it gave space to grow your relationship, someone you had been with for quite some time, but you could shift that, gave you space for more like home. Like it's not even just like a property of where you live, it's the home part. It gave you space to have fresh ideas, a new podcast, a new book, and to give you a guidance to help other people. And I think that's key. The number one thing that I hear from almost every woman that I speak to, I love how you're like one step forward, two steps back, a leap forward, fall off a cliff, climb back up, jump again. Like that can be our entrepreneurial journey. And it's very easy to judge somebody who's standing on the top of the cliff when you've fallen down it. And sometimes it's also very hard to keep going when you don't know that it can get better. And I just absolutely adore that you're about to tell stories, not just of how to get more clients and get more leads. You don't need more clients and more leads. You need better connections. And I think that's what you want to tell. So Jennie, you're amazing. I feel like if you given the chance, you and I would probably talk for days on end. And I want to honor everyone's time because if you're listening, you've got stuff you've got going on. Jennie, how can everyone find you? Because I want them to start leaning in, listening, get prepared for the book, get prepared for the podcast. And you do transformational work. Your work is to not just to hold the space, but guide the ship and make sure the mechanism of the business works. If anyone knows what a CMO is or COO, that is the backbone that makes sure that leads come in, they matriculate, clients are served. I can't overstress how important this role is in business. But how does someone find you if they either just want to be in your world, listen to you, explore working together? How do they come find you?
Well, at the moment and for the foreseeable future, it's jennywright.com. We've mentioned a couple times I am getting married, but I will probably just keep jennywright.com and it may forward to, the married name at some point if that happens. But Jennie Wright is where to find me. So on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on my website. You can also take a look and listen if you want to on my podcast, which is Acquire, not Acquired, but Acquire. And then you'll see the changes that are happening there. I love connecting with people. I love building community. So please feel encouraged to send a DM and let me know that you heard me speaking with Laura and you heard me on this podcast, which I love and adore and am a frequent listener of. So let me know that you heard me here and I'd love to connect.
I love that. Jennie, this is the thing, and I want everyone to hear it. Real relationships really matter. So here's where we are. We're at this fun spot where I like to ask one more question. You have the ear of the world. What would you say?
Build what creates peace.
Oh my God. I like literally just sighed and felt that in my body.
Yeah, it makes me emotional to say it because I think I lived in so long of always trying to create other people's peace, which is not a problem. That's part of the job. But my own life wasn't giving me peace, wasn't creating restful opportunities, or wasn't giving me that feeling that I was okay at the end of the day sometimes, or at the end of the week. And the shift of building a business or transferring the business or even, pivoting it to something that gives me peace, I highly recommend because when you are at peace, when you are feeling soft and okay, and I don't mean soft in a bad way. I mean it like just you've been able to relax your muscles and the muscles around your mouth and your eyes and you can just kind of chill out for a second. Great things happen in your brain. Your brain can't help but start to do cool things and think and create possibilities. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm so inspired. Build your peace. Read a book. I read a book every single month, one book per month. I swim every single morning, which was never a thing I allowed myself to do because I love to swim. And for years I never did. Now it's OOO in my calendar. Nobody can contact me. It is my
Mm.
time. I swim every day. I read. I relax. I drink my tea. I work my ass off, but I create peace.
Mm. I don't think I could say it any better. That's everything. I'm having a moment. I said I couldn't say it better. And now I don't want to stop talking. This is what happens when you have good conversations. I just feel like we have this one life. Let's actually feel peace, enjoy it. Jennie, I'm so grateful you're here to share that message. I'm grateful that you're willing to actually be the one doing it. And so here's what I want to say to everyone who's listening. If you love this, please share it with others. It's important that we get messages around the world that matter. And also, if this conversation really did truly resonate with you, I said it earlier, but I want to say it again. You don't need more leads. You don't need a bigger audience. You don't need to work harder. What you need is clearer discernment, who you're talking to, what do they actually need, how to confidently support them without feeling transactional. We had this entire conversation around relationships, and they are what matters. If right now what you want is to stabilize or even grow your revenue with relationship based sales, then I want you to know there's a chance for us to do that together. And I want to invite you to book a just short decision call with me. You can find the link in the show notes. It's epicatsales.com/connect. We'll get together. We'll find out what's working, what's not working, whether there's a clear path forward. No pressure, no pitch. But what I also want you to know, if you find yourself in space of need for support around the operations of your business, the marketing, the mechanisms, lean in towards Jennie. She is somebody who's building her own peace, and my sense is she can help you build peace. So, Jennie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm so grateful. I love these conversations and I just appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Bye.